Hi, my name is Barbara Tholen, and in 10 years of advising publications at Lawrence High School, I've had a lot of systems for checking out cameras, none of which I've been very happy with until this year. This year, I have a new system that uses QR codes, which are really simple and attached to every camera and every camera bag that enable myself and students to quickly check out cameras. And it has made that sense of accountability for where equipment is a lot easier to track, a lot faster to manage in our busy classrooms. And it's utilized tools that are already in every student's hands, which are basically just having their cell phone. So that's what I'm going to walk you through today. So, welcome to the technical part of understanding how to make this whole system work. If you are not super familiar with spreadsheets, and even if you are, you're probably going to have to watch this through a few times. Just a couple points of caution. There are some things in this that you're not going to want to change, and there's some things that are like detail dependent because some of the formulas in this are so kind of complicated. Um, Little things can mess it up pretty easily. So I'm going to try to give you warnings about that as we go through this, but just kind of pay attention to those. Okay, so this spreadsheet has three different worksheets on it right now, and we'll have an additional worksheet in just a little bit. Worksheets are these basically they're little tabs. They have different things happening on each of them. This worksheet that we're looking at right now, it's our camera inventory worksheet, and it's got just some basic information about like your cameras on it. This whole area right here, this is the area. These columns here, those are the ones that you can edit. This one that says status, don't touch that because if you look up here, you can see there's a very complicated formula flowing into that. But let's look at what's over here. Probably the most important thing is this equipment name thing. For the purposes here, I've just named these camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Um, our actual cameras, we give them kind of funny, cute little names. We usually have like little stickers on them that correspond to those names. That just helps us with our keeping track of things. But to demonstrate this to you, I've just named it camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. And then I'm detailing what is actually in each of our camera bags. So the name of the camera, whatever lens is in it, and then a camera card. Now, I can keep going down this list as far as I want to, as much equipment as I have. If I want to check out specific lenses separately, I can do that here. Um, Anything that I could, easily put a QR tag onto, like a tripods, that sort of thing. You could check those all out doing this, but you just have to make sure it's something that you could tag fairly easily with a QR code. So anyway, I'm going to describe what I have, serial number, if you have any notes on it, like I'll put notes on my, like this one has a tile on it to track its whereabouts, whatever you have, you can add those on there. Okay, so that's that spreadsheet. Um, Before we do anything else, we're going to actually make a form that your students can or you can fill in when you need to check out cameras. So right now we're going to go up to the tools menu. We're going to say create form. And forms are great because you fill them in and they can spit all that information back to a spreadsheet for you. So this is a quick form. I'm not going to worry about the design of it. I'm just going to kind of start to put it together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the settings on it. And I'm going to change the settings on it, and I'm going to ask it to automatically collect the email addresses of everyone who fills out the form. And I'm going to restrict it to users in Lawrence Public Schools. Um, that's just helpful for me. Somehow you need to collect the email addresses of like so that you know who's checking cameras out. At least that's my thought. And that's how the spreadsheet's set up. So you want to collect those email addresses somehow. I like doing it this way because then students don't have to really type it in separately as long as they're logged into a Google account. It's going to collect the email address anyway. It's a little time-saving thing. If you don't set it up here, you're going to have to make it a question on your spreadsheet or on your form. Okay, so there's that. So that's going to go ahead and automatically collect their email addresses. And now I'm going to add in just a couple little things here. So the first thing I'm going to add in is camera name because we want to know what's being checked out. And put these, it's going to matter what order these are all in the end. Okay, camera name, and then I'm going to put in student name. I'm going to add in one more thing, event name. And notice these are all short answer questions. That's important. Okay, I have that done. Click on these three little dots here, and I'm going to say get pre-filled link. Pre-filled links, like and I didn't know about this until this past year, but what you can do is you can put in a specific detail, And then you copy that link and it will take you exactly to that little with that link like partially filled in. Now, when I pre-filled in that link, I put in INUM, which seems super random, but trust me, that's what you want to do. So you're going to type in INUM, get link, you'll copy that link, and then we're going to go back to our spreadsheet. So that little INUM thing, we're going to go back to our spreadsheet, and we're going to move to a different worksheet. We're going to move to the one that says QR codes. Give it a second here. And under here where it says foreign link, we're going to copy in that link that we just copied off of there. You can see that little INUM there at the end of it. Okay, and look, now it's generating right now a QR code that's going to take me directly to that spreadsheet, and it's going to be partially filled in, but instead of being partially filled in with the letters INUM, it's actually be partially filled in with our camera name. Okay, and we want to be able to do this for everything coming forward, so I'm going to copy and paste that link, I don't know, all the way down or as far down as I think I'll have cameras, which is not that many cameras, right? Okay, and what it should do is it should fill in, and it has little QR codes for everything. You can see right here it stopped filling in a QR code because I don't have a piece of I don't have a camera name there. But if I went back to my camera inventory and let's say I made a little listing for a tripod, okay, I could come back to my QR codes and it will now be generating a little QR code for that tripod. Okay, so this is really like adaptable as you work through it, which I love. Okay, now we need to clean up a couple other little things on here. So I'm going to go over to my form responses. So this is where, as I fill out that, as people fill out that spreadsheet, this is where that information is going to come in from. Because, like I mentioned before, these spreadsheets are really sensitive. There's a couple little things that we need to clean up so that this will work. So I'm going to click on my email addresses, and it actually just needs to be in this field before the camera name. So I'm going to drag it over, and that'll just map that information coming in from that form differently to the spreadsheet, which is perfect. So it should say timestamp, email address, camera name, student name, event name. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name. This is form responses 17 because I've done this a bunch of times. I'm going to rename this to form responses 1, and that's going to fix another little issue I would have on my spreadsheet. Okay, now the spreadsheet should be pretty cleaned up and ready for us to start checking out some cameras. We're going to make some little tags for our cameras. I have little QR code tags for each of our cameras. All you need to do is add in your information and then your specific QR codes. So if I come back to my template that I've made, and if I want to go ahead and make a QR code or a template, or sorry, a little tag for this camera 1, I'm going to just zoom in. I'm going to go ahead and make my screen just a little bit bigger so I can make this, get a better picture of this. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this QR code, and I'm just going to screenshot it. So take a little screenshot of that QR code, and then I will come back to my little camera tag system here, and I'm just going to place that in there. Okay, and then what I've done at my school is I have exported these as JPEGs, and then I've had one of our office workers has printed them on our little ID tag paper, that our students get those plastic ID tags, and then we put these tags on the cameras and on our camera bags, and that works really well because those hard plastic tags just hold up well. But if I didn't have that option, I would probably print them on just like some, as thick a paper as I could and laminate it, and just have some extras around for when those wear out. But if you can get it printed on that nice hard plastic tag sort of paper, it's really nice. And I've been lucky to be able to do that. But that's basically what these tags look like. All right, now we're gonna check out, we're gonna see how this actual checkout form works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up my camera app, and what I love about the newer iPhones, it seemed like you used to have to download like a separate a separate app for reading QR code readers anymore. What you're going to see is when I hover over that QR code, it like immediately brings up this checkout system. Um, and then on my spreadsheet, when it comes, or my little checkout form, when it comes up, it immediately brings up my camera name, which is perfect. And now I'm just going to put my name in there. Sometimes I like to put the event name in just so, if I want to know what my students are taking pictures of with which cameras, that's really helpful. I'm going to click submit. Awesome. Now, if I go back to my spreadsheet, just peek at what that looks like. If I go back to my spreadsheet here, what you're going to notice is, look, it has checked out that camera to me. Okay. So what it did, if we look at the back side of this, what it did, if I look at my form responses, it has recorded all this information that I'm taking this picture for football. Over here on this data checkout sorted list, which you almost never have to look at, it's also kind of resorting this information. If you ever have any issues with this, sometimes just like the first time through, I just have to hit enter and it will reset it. So if you have an issue, that might fix it for you. Nothing to worry about on that QR code sheet. It's just kind of doing its thing in the background. Whoops, sorry, it's trying to read. Trying to read another QR code. And then back here on my camera inventory, that's where I get that checkout. Now, to check it back in, I go just back to that little QR code. Okay. So Kid brings it back into you. Oops, sorry. Let me try this again. Kid brings it back into you. You need to check it back in. Oh, come on, little camera. This one more time. There we go. We'll click on that. It's going to bring it back to the form. And again, it's already telling us what camera name it is. This time, I just don't put any information in. I don't put a student name in. I don't put an event name in. I just click submit. And it reads it as being checked. Oops, sorry. On my spreadsheet, it now reads that camera as being checked back in. It is just a really nifty way to edit things. Finally, if you're anything like me, you know that sometimes your students want to know where the cameras are at and who has which camera. Um, they helps them to kind of manage their decisions better. So having this type of information would be really helpful. But I didn't want to give them the full spreadsheet that I have because I was worried that things would get messed up, things would get moved around, and even if I had it locked down. So what I ended up doing, and also that there were just too many worksheets that would be confusing for them. So what I ended up doing was I made just their own live version of it. This is an example of that, but this is obviously like not, this has my information flowing to it, and you would want your own information flowing to it. It's really easy to do. I've got this funky little formula in this very first A1 cell. And if we just highlight this portion between the quote marks, that is a web link to the spreadsheet where the information is coming from. So I'm going to come and get the link to my actual checkout spreadsheet, okay, or your actual checkout spreadsheet. And you can just copy and paste that in there, and then it will flow in your information instead. Okay. Now, in order to share that with your students, I would just click on my sharing button. I would make sure it was being shared with the people I wanted to share it with. I'm going to go to InDesign, where I've actually given you all this little template as part of my resources that you can work with. Okay, it's got this nice big box on here, and I can do, from InDesign, I can go Object, Generate QR Code. I'm going to do this as a web link. There you go. And then I've got a nice size poster that's ready to print out. And then you can just post that up on the cabinet, and your kids can figure out where things are at. My students use this all the time to try to figure out, okay, well, I'm shooting this event tonight. I'd really like to have a different camera. They can use that to kind of manage who has which camera. So this is a really helpful resource for them. If you don't have InDesign and you don't have that QR code generator thing in there, there's lots of free QR code generators online that you can use. but that would be like my final step for managing this. I hope you've gotten some stuff out of this and that it's useful to you. Hang in there if things kind of trip you up just a little bit. It can be a little tricky to get set up, but it's pretty smooth once you get it working. Feel free to send me an email if you've got any questions. I'll do my best to get back to you. Best of luck.